Okay, so here we are, me and Reggie back together again. Reggie, you had your Nintendo Direct this morning with a lot of Nintendo news, but no press conference. Different strategy. First of all, explain to us, why did you want to approach E3 in this way?
Well, what we wanted to do was to focus on the games. So first, announce all the news on the Nintendo Direct, get that out there, let our fans know exactly what's going on. Then we brought the media together to get them to play the game. Right. Because if there's one thing about Nintendo, our games shine. They play great, they show off the capabilities of the system. So we wanted to get people right from the hello to the playing of the game, which is why we changed up our structure. And then on top of that, all of the direct information right to the consumer, including the activity at Best Buy. So we think it's a better way to focus on the games and to help people understand exactly what it is that we're doing.
Does that mean no E3 press conferences moving forward for Nintendo?
No. All it means is that for this year, based on the fantastic lineup we have, we thought it was the right thing to do to get right to the games. Next year, it'll be based on what we have and the best way to merchandise all of our activity.
But you weren't in the Direct. I think a lot of people were wondering, where was Reggie? You were saving yourself for me, I guess.
Reggie was getting ready for all of the activity here at the booth. Exactly.
Okay. Well, you had a lot of game announcements this morning, a lot of things to talk about. Brand new Mario, you talked about the Zelda, Super Smash Brothers, big news. That's, I guess, sort of finally officially announced and shown. But a lot of those games had been hinted at by Mr. Iwata previously. Sometimes people want that incredible Nintendo surprise. We didn't necessarily have that.
Well,
Donkey Kong, I guess, was a little bit of a surprise.
Exactly.
Right?
The surprise was Donkey Kong Country. That was the game that we've been holding back. That's the game that Retro's been working on. And so, if you will, that was a surprise.
Right.
But a key part of our strategy was to make sure that the fans, the buyers of Wii U, the potential buyers of Wii U, knew exactly what was coming so that they could be prepared for the system and jump on in.
So out of all those games, you talked about a lot of things. You talked about games that you're going to be able to play. You have Donkey Kong here at the booth. You have Mario. You have Zelda. Smash Brothers is not playable, right?
Correct.
So out of all those games, what is your big game for this holiday season? Is it Donkey Kong?
We're in a fortunate position that from a North American perspective, we have 3 killer games that are going to drive the holidays, plus all of the momentum that starts with Pikmin and with Super Luigi. So to frame this, we start off with Wind Waker, which for this market is just a fantastic game. We think is really going to jumpstart our sales. We'll go from there into Mario and then into Donkey Kong.
All right, and Smash in 2014, I guess.
Smash in 2014.
Do we know when in 2014?
All we've said is 2014.
All right, well, it's big news. You've obviously got Mega Man's going to be in it. Obviously, lots of guest characters, right?
Absolutely, as we always do with Smash Brothers. But it's interesting, as you were summarizing all the news, you forgot about Kart.
Kart will be there as well?
Kart is one of the big games that
That's
again
2014,
is
though,
that is spring of 2014, and it's also playable here at the booth. So that's exciting, and Kart's going to be one of the 4 games that'll be featured at Best Buy.
Okay.
So it's a lot of great information for our fans, and really all of the motivation they need to go buy the system.
All right, but Smash, we're not going to see anything more than what we sort of saw there in the press conference?
Well, we will be always talking about Smash and letting fans know exactly what's going on with that game. But, based on when this is airing, we've got more news to share.
There's more still to come.
There's
E3.
always more news to share.
Well, you're checking all the boxes, right, Reggie? Well, let's talk about, you said you were in a fortunate position with a lot of great first-party titles. One area of the Direct that was kind of weak was third-party games that are coming to the Wii U. You had a couple games from Ubisoft, a couple from Warner Brothers, but, I have a lot of fans out there that say, hey, the third parties have abandoned Wii U. What's your response?
Well, it's not true. And the fact of the matter is, if you go down the list, so Activision, Disney, Warner Brothers, Ubi, all are creating content for the platform. All of this buzz has started with some of the comments that EA has made.
Right.
They've come back and clarified those comments that they do have games in development. There's just nothing that is coming out right now and in the next few months. So there is content being created by third party for the system.
But not nearly, I think, as much as we saw at launch. And you talk to sports gamers, they say, hey, Madden's not coming. 2K Sports announced that NBA 2K is not coming. There are a lot of genres now that you're not fulfilling this year on the Wii U.
From our perspective, as a first-party publisher, as a console manufacturer, our job is to drive the install base, to reach out to a broad range of different consumers, to create an environment for third-party publishers to jump in.
Right.
And that's what we're looking to do.
So in some ways, did you feel like, you got a lot of third parties on board for launch, and then I think people were you were probably disappointed with the sales. Some third parties, you think, are they fairly sort of dialing back now until Nintendo can rev the engine again?
Yeah, I think what third parties are doing is, first, a number of third parties are bringing content.
Right.
And then, absolutely, they want to see us drive the install base, which is what we're doing with all of these great franchises that we've announced.
So let's talk about the state of Wii U. I mean, you've been at Nintendo for a number of years. Tell me about, the past 6 months for you, kind of personally as Reggie being, the head of Nintendo of America here. How has it felt to you? Have you been disappointed? Have you been sad? How are you feeling?
Have I been sad? Have you ever known me to be sad?
I don't know. When you're back in your office, Reggie, playing with your little dolls, you never know.
No. Look, the fact of the matter is, we had a fantastic launch of Wii U.
Yes.
And sales through the holidays were very strong. Mm-hmm. And then, unfortunately, from a first-party perspective, the launch of key titles slowed down. And guess what? When there isn't a range of content, the consumer waits to see what's coming and what they want to buy to drive that hardware install base. That's why it's our responsibility to drive that pace of software. Right. So what have I been doing? We've been gearing up to have that great pace of software. Game & Wario and all the activity behind that. Obviously Super Luigi, Wonderful 101, all of these great games are coming.
So you have all those games coming out, later this year. One thing I noticed in the Direct is there wasn't a lot of time spent talking about the gamepad and how that's going to use. I don't think it was even shown in the Direct, really. It was a lot about footage of games. Is Nintendo sort of moving away from the idea of the gamepad as being a key part of the story?
Absolutely not, right? So what we did in the Direct was to highlight all of the games that are coming, to let the consumers see how beautiful they're going to play. And then really, here at our booth is how people can see exactly how the gamepad is put to use, how you can use it to manipulate what's going on the screen. So we want to do that all in the booth because from a player's perspective, that's what counts.
Now, what about the mainstream audience, the Wii Sports crowd? You tried to court them, I think, with Nintendo Land. I don't know if that necessarily worked out as well as people would have hoped. Wii Fit U, Mr. Iwata mentioned that was delayed a little bit. There wasn't a lot in there that was going to sort of court that mainstream audience that was the Wii buyer that you were trying to move to the Wii U. You have any comments on that?
Well, the Wii buyer loves Zelda. Mm-hmm. They love Mario. They love Donkey Kong, some of the highest sales games on that platform.
Yeah.
All of that content's going to be here beginning this holiday season.
So in some ways you're feeling that, Nintendo, this is the year when the Wii U is going to take off, yet you've got a lot of competition coming into the market with a new Xbox, a new PlayStation. Those fans are going to have even more choices this year. So, are you concerned now that it's too little too late?
There's only one place that the consumer can play Zelda, Mario, Donkey Kong, Pikmin 3.
Right.
That is our ace in the hole. That's what we provide the consumer. So, competition's going to do what competition's going to do. What we're going to provide are great games, great game experiences, and the only way to experience those is on the Wii U.
But then there'll be some customers that will say, well, but the only place I can play Madden and Battlefield, and maybe Call of Duty or some of these other games are going to be on the other systems. And originally when you guys talked about Wii U, it was about, hey, this is an inclusive system for everyone, we're going to bring third parties in. That's not the case. So, does that put you in a difficult spot this year?
Yeah, the only thing I would say, Jeff, is I think it's premature to say that that's not the case, right?
Okay.
Let's see what happens come the holiday. Let's see what happens.
But, if they're not announcing the games now for the holidays, EA's not going to suddenly release a Madden for Wii U.
So let's talk, we'll see what happens with some of the other key publishers and bringing their best content, right? Ubi is still bringing a number of key core titles. Activision will be making their various comments. So let's just wait and see what
Call
happens.
of Duty this year?
You'll have to ask Activision.
Everyone's hiding some of their titles, I guess. But you do have an incredible lineup of first-party games. When we come back, we're going to talk more about those games and sort of what Nintendo is doing this week at E3. So more with Reggie. Stick around.